Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show. So, what I want to bring you in now on is the feud between Representative Ilhan Omar and her brother husband and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. So, this is from the Washington Examiner. Now, I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you why it's wrong. I might actually do it in between because I just pulled it up. I run with it. Let's see what happens. But this is from the Washington Examiner, David Chaitin. And I can already tell you what's going to happen in here. See, this is what progressives do. They play the victim. And I guarantee you that's what Ilhan Omar is going to do. It's by the end of it, she will be playing the victim. No matter what kind of ridiculous shit she's done, she has to be the victim. See, that's how they work. So let's get on into it and I'll explain it to you as we go, maybe at the end, I don't know. Representative Ilhan Omar revealed on Tuesday a threatening voicemail, she says, came hours after a phone call with fellow Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, which by all accounts escalated a feud between the two that began with the emergence of a video of Boebert making anti-Muslim comments about Omar. So let's just be honest about this. This feud between Ilhan Omar and any red-blooded American began a couple of years ago when she said about 9/11 that some people did something. That's when these feuds with Americans began. Let's just be honest. These people keep being anti-Semitic. She should have been censured and removed from Congress by now, but she's not going to be. That's why you watch the old school Democrats, they're all walking out. There are 15, 16 Democrats that have announced they're not going to run again. Think about that large number. But that's what they do because they're the childish class. Let's keep going. Omar, a Minnesota Democrat. Now, remember, Minnesota is where Obama, the Muslim in chief, dumped hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, let's say hundreds of thousands of Muslims from Somalia into. He's forever changed that voting bloc. And so you have to look. The reason she got elected in Minnesota is because she's a Democrat or because she's a Muslim. That's the only reason. That's the only faction she needs to hold there is that Muslim faction. Let's continue. Up here with Reps Andre Carson and Rashida Tlaib. I would like to add that Andre Carson is the token male of the squad. Rashida Tlaib, I've already at length showed you the harm this woman does to the country. The two other Muslim members of the House calling on Republican leadership to condemn Boebert for her conduct. Why? The Democrats didn't condemn Omar for her conduct. Matter of fact, when they didn't even censure her for her 9/11 comments or for her saying American soldiers who went and rescued people like her in Somalia. She said they were butcherers. They killed tens of thousands of people. And she's lying. That's not what happened in Somalia. Trust me, that's not what happened. You can even see video from one of the Green Berets who said, that's not what happened. They pulled her out of Somalia. Honestly, she should still be in Somalia. If you don't leave the country, go back to the one you came from. Trump calls on Omar to apologize after spat with Boebert. At one point during the press conference, Omar shared a graphic voicemail she says she received hours after a phone call with Boebert on Monday, which apparently ended with Omar hanging up on Boebert after the two demanded apologies from each other. So I guess this is the phone call translation. We see you Muslims saying N-word bitches. We know what you're up to. You're all about taking over our country. Don't worry, there's plenty that will love the opportunity to take you off the face of this F earth. Come get it, B. UF Muslim piece of S, you jihadist. We know what you are. You're AF traitor. You will not live much longer, a male voice is heard saying. Now, that voicemail should have never been sent, and he's probably going to jail. But what we have to realize is not just her, it's lefties. It's American-grown lefties. I got reminded by a new subscriber yesterday that old school liberals and liberals today are not the same. And I've heard it several times. And I just never really paid attention to it till one of my subscribers actually says something. And I've tried to actually get into the habit of using socialist or whatever instead of liberal lefties, you know. So I'm trying to get there. So I'll get there. The message goes on to talk about we the people rising up and Omar appearing before a military tribunal. I don't know if she should appear before a military tribunal, even though remember, these women, these AOC cried because 97% of Congress voted to continue helping Israel with the Iron Dome and to refund it. She cried. That tells you what they think. Let's continue. The controversy between Omar and Boebert began last week with the emergence of videos showing Boebert at an event telling a story about a Capitol police officer running to stop an elevator door from closing as she got in an elevator with Omar, to what she said, well, she doesn't have a backpack, we should be fine. She also called Omar, who is a Somali immigrant, part of the jihad squad, and joked that she could be a terrorist. Well, actually, people have been calling them the jihad squad for a while. You know why? Because they teach anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, pro-Muslim dialect, her and Talib. So it is what it is. It's not new. Omar shot back, calling Boebert a buffoon and claimed the Republican made the whole story up. On Friday, Boebert tweeted, I apologize to anyone in the Muslim community I offended with my comment about Representative Omar, and said she reached out to Omar's office in the hopes of having a conversation with her Democratic colleague. This is the problem I have with that. Do they ever apologize for the anti-American slurs, for the anti-white, for the anti-Jew, and clandestinely, the anti-Black and the anti-brown people shit they do? When you're releasing thousands of prisoners, right? When you're not charging crimes, when you're supporting BLM financially and philosophically, you are supporting crime against the Black and brown communities, because that's where most of this stuff happens. Let's continue. But that phone call, which took place Monday, ended with acrimony. Boebert posted an Instagram video in which she said Omar insisted her tweet wasn't good enough and kept asking for a public apology. So I told Omar she should make a public apology to the American people for anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-police rhetoric, which is what I just said. Remember, these people want to not defund the police like they keep telling you. They want to abolish the police. So what happens when we have to take matters into our own hands? If you're not on their side, they want to put you in jail. See, that's how the Nazis did things. Remember, the German police were pretty much gone. And it was all up to their brown shirts, and this is what they're trying to do to you. So I stand firmly on the side of Boebert. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Omar released a statement of her own, acknowledging that she hung up on Boebert as the Republican claim, but that was just about all they could agree on. Who is this? This is Omar. Quote, instead of apologizing for Islamophobic comments and fabricated lies, Representative Boebert refused to publicly acknowledge her hurtful and dangerous comments. She instead doubled down on her rhetoric, and I decided to end the unproductive call. Omar said, I believe engaging with those we disagree with respectfully, but not when the disagreement is rooted in outright bigotry and hate. So remember, Omar never apologized for her anti-Semitic statements. She has never once apologized for her 9/11 statements. She has never apologized for any of this. This is a hateful, spiteful woman. This woman is the take it all. During the press conference Tuesday, Omar said Islamophobia pervades our culture, our politics, and even policy decisions, according to the Insider. And I hate to say this because I've never been a person like this, right? Never, never, never. But go back to Somalia. Go back to your Muslim-loving country where you wouldn't even be allowed out the house without a male family escort, probably your brother. Go back to Somalia, where you're not even allowed to drive, where you're not even allowed to hold office in Muslim nations. Go back. But no, you can't, because you've been here since you were 9 or 10. And even though you hate America and refuse to love America for what it is, you refuse to honestly accept your Islamic culture, even though you preach it and teach it. I'm not even going to read any more of this story. Let me tell you something. See, this is what happens with these people, right? They come over here. They're born and raised here. They use us for all we're worth. And then they preach the greatness of their Islamic culture, but they're Islamic countries. Move to Afghanistan, move to Somalia. You can move to one of several countries where, like if you move to Kenya, you'll be one of 13 wives, but you won't be allowed to hold public office and get away with what you're getting away with. But nope, you're not going to do that. Hey, I stand on the side of Boebert on this. I could be wrong. Hey, I may be wrong. But I understand the fever pitch the country's reaching. Because we're tired of this shit. We're tired of not liberals, sorry, lefties and these socialists and these Marxists and these so-called Muslims who tell us, oh, we got to do it like this, like the socialists and the Marxists and the Muslims. But they don't even live by the ideals. They don't even follow their own culture. Think about how ridiculous that is. It's like me telling you to be a Texan, but I don't follow Texas culture. Hey, Texas is right, but I follow an East Coast culture because that's what they're doing. Because honestly, you know what? Maybe Muslim culture isn't so bad, because then I wouldn't have to listen to Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, because they wouldn't even be allowed to speak in public. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've gone off enough. Thank you for watching this episode of The Dan Dawson Show. Like, subscribe, share. As always, especially in these days and times, do what you got to do.